everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ad Project Podcast. I am your co-host, Joe Shellerud.
And I'm Maria Hewitt.
How are you doing today, Mario? It's my
I'm
go-to
great.
when I don't know where to go.
What if I said bad and went way into my unhappiness?
I mean,
I've really thrown you for a loop.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
But I'm great.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Good. And I just cleaned up the coffee that I spilled.
Before we started filming, Joe spilled on the white chairs his coffee.
Well, I blame my finger splint.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. So I went to go catch a football this summer, and when I caught it, my finger felt weird, and all of a sudden it wouldn't straighten anymore. And so I apparently tore a tendon here, and I had what's called mallet finger. So,
mallet finger?
Yeah, super cool. Yep. And so I get to wear this finger splint, which I'm almost done with. But I've not been able to bend my finger for the last 6 weeks.
You've gotten quite good at typing with that, though.
It is funny. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't use it.
Can't use it.
Yeah.
Can't use my middle finger. Yeah. And turns out I had to do a lot of computer work.
Apparently, that's most of your job.
Yep. So, yeah. So it's been some adaptation, but...
You've had quite a few injuries this summer.
I know.
I think it's time that fall comes and you just take an easier
So it was like
life.
a string of a couple weeks in a row to every weekend. I would come just beat up. And it was always from something I'm doing with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, another episode we talked about Joe hit his face on a pool wall. So he came in Monday morning and I was like, what happened to your face?
Looks like I was in a bar fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
then
what
next week I come in with mallet finger.
Yep. So it's been
I'm a winner.
an injury-prone summer.
I'm a winner. Yep.
And now it's time to head back to school.
Yep. Now I can't even pick up my coffee mug. Just kidding, I can. Yeah. Well, all right. So today we're going to talk through some key changes that we've been seeing with the sponsored ads algorithm. And so these are some things that we've been anticipating for a while. We're continually tracking as we go. But it's fun seeing it start to actually play out in the data. So what we'll walk through is, in general, like more broad or auto campaigns are getting more impressions. They're getting more eyeballs on them. And there's some key reasons why, and other key things so first we'll start off like what we're seeing right now. We can talk through what's driving that, and then at the end, what we should do to respond. Sponsored ads is obviously a key driver that we have, within retail media itself.
Yep.
And another key piece too is that while we're focusing on Amazon right now, they tend to lead on a lot of these different items, and so you could expect to see this in other channels too as we go.
Yep.
So I don't know, where do you want to start? Like, you want to start high level, what we're seeing?
Yeah. And I think it's good to note that we dug into this as there was some chatter in the community on LinkedIn that other people were noticing changes, and that's something we're always reviewing, but we were like, let's dig in a little deeper. And so for this analysis, we looked at sponsored products, and we reviewed 16 billion impressions. So it's important to look, like, we didn't do volume. We were looking at share of impressions and all of our metrics like that, because obviously our client base has changed. So just so you have a little background on what that looked like. But a big part of this conversation, we'll be talking about match types and how we're seeing those perform differently. So let's just do a high-level match type overview. And for this, we're going to use cat tree as our search term.
We're using what?
What?
What are we using?
Cat tree.
Cat tree. Okay.
A cat tree. Yeah.
Like, this is like the things that they climb up on?
Yeah. Not like an actual tree, but a tree that cats like to perch on, that you could purchase and have in your home.
Okay.
There's some really nice ones on the Amazon. Some of them are like $300. Okay. Very nice. Anyway.
So, like, what's different ways so, all right, for people who aren't familiar with cat trees.
Yeah. Okay.
Like myself. So, what's other ways people would search for it? Just to kind of preface, and then we can tie that to the match type.
Cat condo, cat furniture.
Are there descriptives, like, are some taller or
Yeah,
bigger
tall.
than
Yeah, like 3-level cat tree, carpeted cat tree.
would I get some in a different color to match?
Yep, cat
Okay.
tree with a scratching post, cat tree for fat cats, cat tree for multiple cats.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of different kinds out there.
Sure.
Okay, so
All right, we've got our product.
we're searching for cat trees. Yep. So when you look at manual keyword campaigns, you have 3 match types, right? You have broad, phrase, and exact. And the names kind of are self-explanatory. Broad is obviously wide exposure. Ads can appear on synonyms, variations. It's broadly fitting. So think like tall cat condo or furniture for cats.
Mm-hmm.
Like tree isn't even in that, but it's around the same thing.
Sure.
Broadly. Phrase match, the query must include your phrase or at least the implied meaning. So tall cat tree for large cats, which I need for my big boy, or cheap cat tree.
Sure.
Right? Okay, and then exact, it needs to be exact, right? So cat trees, it can be plural. It can be like a close variant. So like cat tree tower, because tree and tower are redundant. They're the same thing.
Sure.
And then, of course, auto campaigns also have match types. You have close, loose, substitutes, complements. Act pretty. I really like those names because they are very self-explanatory. So this is kind of the basis of what our analysis was. So what we kept hearing, like on LinkedIn and other channels, like the community, was that,
and from our internal testing,
and from our account
what
managers,
we're starting to see from our advertisers.
Yeah, our account managers were bringing this up, and so we dug in, and essentially it was true. So auto campaigns have been getting more impression share, and we saw this change kind of in late Q2, like early June, I'd say, and it was about 7% the impression share went up.
Sure. Yeah. And so like a couple things that we've been anticipating for a while, and we're waiting to start to see it in the data. And then when we were, I got excited just because it was happening, is auto campaigns going up and more of the broader terms also getting more impression share. And so we can get into exactly what we're seeing, but just to paint the picture on like context on why we're seeing this, is when we're targeting in sponsored, like we're picking a product target or we're picking a keyword, and we have a bid associated, and then we have a match type, and then we have other items that we can do with like placement adjustments. We can layer audiences in, but just to like keep it simplified down a bit, like we have 2 signals. So one is the keyword that they're typing in, and then we have a bid on, and that's kind of our ranking on like how relevant we see it or the return that we're expecting to get from it. And then there's the relevancy algo that's going on in the background within Amazon. But if you look at it from Amazon's standpoint, they have all these other signals that they can take into account. And so while they can look and see like, all right, you bid for cat tree. Exactly. And here's your bid. From an auto campaign standpoint, maybe it's just like general like cat accessories or I don't know, cat house or this is a horrible, I don't know cats much. So yeah, just bear with me. So,
Joe, you've never
you picked an example that like I would be able to.
You never have searched for a cat tree?
No, I have not. Yeah.
Surprising.
Yep. Just pretending I know what I'm talking about here. Yeah. And so with Amazon's relevancy algo, they can take into account other shopping trends. And so they can show the ad for people who are more likely to purchase, and it doesn't have to be just dependent on that keyword. So that can be part of it. But now if they can better tune their models to show more relevant ads to more people that aren't just dependent on a keyword, they should do that because that's going to get a better return on the advertising. Their ads are going to be more effective. It's going to be a better customer experience. And so high level, that's what's happening is Amazon's able to take in more signals into account with their algos and then be able to, it's not just dependent on the keyword. I can make a call in terms of relevancy on the Amazon side, say, okay, this ad should be shown at this time. It doesn't need to match this exact keyword because I'm pretty sure that they're interested. And so I'm going to show this ad that they'd be more interested in. And so high level, that's what we're seeing.
Yep.
And so while we have used the tools like, the full campaign funnel structure and going from phrase to exact because auto wasn't as finely tuned, it's getting a little bit more finely tuned. And that's where we're starting to see more and more volume get pushed that way with all the automations that are in place.
So impression share for those broader campaigns, the auto and broad match as well, have been going up. But then efficiency hasn't necessarily increased. So conversion is still, not as high at auto and broad.
Sure.
So how do you reconcile the increased impression share and hopefully those improved signals, but not seeing the performance yet?
Yeah. So if we look at like conversion rate between the different ad types, exact has the highest conversion rate. And then as we go to phrase, exact can be above 20%. And this is high level. It really depends on the product itself. But then as we get to like phrase, I don't know, say like 16 to 18%. And then once we start getting to like more broad or auto, like average is around like 10% conversion rate. And so there's this cascading factor in terms of conversion rate. And it makes sense that people who search specifically for large cat tree in beige is going to convert better if that's exactly what you're selling. But as we get broader and as we get to like pushing more impressions to the auto side and to the broad side, one other offsetting factor is what we pay in terms of cost per click. And so we tend to pay a lot more for the exact keywords. And then so exact is most expensive, and then it also cascades down. And so the key thing is that as a pool, for those that aren't in my exact targeting pool, if I can get more impressions or shift some over that wouldn't have converted, but they go in my auto or broad campaigns, and now I'm paying less in terms of cost per click, I don't need as good of a conversion rate to still get that solid return on advertising that I'm looking for. And so that's where we're seeing that, yes, as it pulls some volume over, it doesn't convert as well. But from the advertiser standpoint, cost per click is also a lot cheaper. And so if we can make some gains in terms of relevancy as we're pulling people down and say like for like loose match or compliments, in auto campaigns. So if those can make some gains in conversion rate and I'm also paying a lot less, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Then the other thing that we keep talking through is that in terms of AI and in terms of automation, in terms of algorithms, it's probably the worst it's going to be today. And it's going to keep getting better. And so this is the initial test as they keep pulling more volume over. I would anticipate that conversion rates and relevancy targeting is going to continue to get better over time. And so we want to structure our campaigns to make sure that we're taking full advantage of that.
Yeah, I guess what are your big predictions for this algo change? Like down the road, that it will just keep getting better in terms of the auto and broad.
I mean, if I look at high level for Amazon, like they want an advertiser. So we won't even focus on advertiser. They want a seller or a brand to just be able to go in there and turn on ads and have it work well. So having all of these different targeting types and modifiers and setting up the bids and having to structure the keyword funnel and everything else like that, like these are all impediments to brands being able to spend more and advertise more on Amazon. And so I feel like what the shift is it's continuing to push more volume and more targeting to auto. And this is just going to keep going where they're going to try to automate more and more and use all the insights that they have and be able to really leverage AI to make it a lot easier to advertise with sponsored on these different channels. And so this is one of the key shifts that's just starting. So as they push more volume, you're going to get more training and results are going to start to get better. And it's going to keep shifting. And so over time, hopefully this makes it simpler for advertisers. The key thing is that, in the old days, I'll say, like when auto algos weren't as good, we tried to harvest search terms as quickly as we could out of there. And in the early days, because auto targeting wasn't that great, we would set negatives in auto and then make sure that they were just all funneled to manual campaigns. We don't do that anymore because Amazon's gotten better at their auto campaign performance. And so if they're going to take a search term and they're going to run it in my auto campaign, but CPC is going to be a lot less, like I'm going to take that versus forcing it into the manual campaigns. So key point is like, and where we're going is more and more is going to filter into the auto campaigns, or like broad targeting is kind of a form of that. So we want to make sure that we're leaving that open for Amazon to optimize and to continue to test and look at performance. We also don't want to just give up on manual keywords because we see great performance, great conversion rates, and we have a ton of control there. So that's the other piece that we lose is the control aspect. Hopefully as Amazon keeps getting better with the automation, we don't need as much control.
Yeah.
Where in the early days, we needed a lot of control. But it's another key piece that we're continually evaluating as we go.
Like the changes in the algo and where Amazon seems to be going is it seems like a way to kind of level the playing field for some sellers, minus like the budget element of things.
Sure.
But, right now you set up an advertising campaign and it's so many toggles.
Yeah.
Right? And percentages of modifiers and there's so many moving pieces that it definitely could be a barrier to advertising for sure.
For sure. Yeah. And so like ideal world for Amazon or for any of these retail media companies is like, I just want the brand to be able to go in there and effectively spend money. And we've seen like Meta do this where they're talking through like, all right, everything should be fully automated where I can go in, I can just pick the product or service that I want to sell, and high level, the advertising engine should be able to take that and learn and do it itself. Like in reality, that's definitely not how it's working right now, but things are going to continually get better. And so in the future, I see it becoming less and less complex in terms of the general setup, but there's always going to be other toggles that we have that we need to be using, because when they set up these algos, it's going to have to be tuned for the average. And if we can find, what's really unique with your product or what's working really well for this category or this brand, like there's going to be areas that we can always lean into there. And even if everything is fully automated, say sponsored ads becomes fully automated and performs really good, and cool, that's still one piece of your business. Yeah. Like how does that tie into upper funnel? Upper funnel is going to be harder to automate overall. How does that tie in, and how is budget allocation between the different channels? Like how does this tie into overarching strategy? Like what are the KPIs that we're trying to solve for on the advertising side? Like all these pieces still come into play. If we're spending less time on the execution because more is automated, awesome. That's great for advertisers. That's great for brands. And then if we can focus on the key pieces that really matter, what's the strategy? How does it all tie in? How do the results actually perform? Like that's great. Key thing that we need to keep seeing is performance improve. So we're comfortable giving away more of that control, and then can focus on the higher level discussions.
Yeah. So like you mentioned before, like we like to have control with all the toggles.
Yes.
But with this change in the algo, which our insights have shown, we're seeing it. Yeah. What do advertisers do right now in terms of their strategy?
Sure. Yeah. So a couple things that I would look at as more and more traffic switches to auto or broad. One, you got to make sure that you really have solid negative targeting. So I want to have solid negatives in there that is screening out things that I definitely don't want to be shown for. The algos should be getting better at this. But if you can weed out a bunch that doesn't make sense, like it's not going to pick up on everything. And so negatives are a key piece, especially as more and more volume.
So you're
over here.
more picking what you don't want.
Yes.
And letting Amazon pick what you do want.
Exactly. Yep. So making sure that I'm really good at screening out what I don't want. Where autos have always been good and where we've always leaned into them is just finding these long tail search terms that we necessarily wouldn't have targeted ourselves. And then we can look at performance and see what does well. So another key piece is like with shifting consumer behavior. So going into the holiday shopping season, like that can be an awesome time for autos because the way that people search for my products can change quite a bit. Like obviously we're going back and looking at history and we're finding the gift keywords and all that good stuff. But auto and broad can be great, especially if they're combined with other shopping signals or different items that we don't have access to or have control of within sponsor. So another key piece is making sure that we're not getting too restrictive with our auto or our broad campaigns. So before we did that strict funnel where once we funneled it to manuals, then we'd make sure we negated it in autos. You don't want to do that anymore. So again, if Amazon's going to show tall cat tree in an auto campaign versus an exact, like that's great because we're usually going to be paying a lot less for that impression.
Oh, good point.
So we want to give more control on what they can show within these broader campaigns. We also just want to make sure we have very fine-tuned control on what we don't want them to show for. So I think that's some of the major items, like, and as volume keeps going up for auto campaigns, like, you know, we're going to spend even more time looking at performance overall and making sure that it's still on the right trend. And then if needed, we can adjust CPCs. You can look at the different types within auto. So between close match and loose match, like what's performing better, what should my bids be? You know, we make it sound easy that it's all going to like more automation, but it's not right now. Like you still have placement adjustments. Now we can layer in different audiences, like on top of that boost overall bids. So still a ton of complexity, but I think this is the first step.
This is that shift that
we've been anticipating for quite a while, and it's going to take quite a while to do. But just so people are aware of where this is going and what the high level goal is, like it's trying to automate this as much as possible, make it as simple as possible, and still achieve the goals that everybody's looking for. So pretty easy to say, hard to do.
And there are a few other changes that we've noticed too that we'll be looking into, and so maybe another episode in the future. One notably is bidding strategies and how maybe those have changed, and how Amazon treats them. So you have 3 bidding strategies: dynamic down, dynamic up and down, and fixed. Historically, we've liked control. We're control freaks, I think.
Yeah, we are.
But we've been hearing that maybe dynamic up and down has been favored a little bit more. So that's something we're going to be looking into. We have several tests going on right now, so hopefully we'll share something on that soon. But we'll also be sharing a lot of this on our social and long form content. So if you want to look back and see the data for yourself, we'll be sharing that shortly.
Yeah, and what's fun and why we've been control freaks up to this point is, one, we have our own tech, so we can do this at scale. So, you know, managing all these different points is easy for us because we have the tech. We don't have to do this all manually. And 2, with all of our manual changes and our internal algos, we've been able to outperform all the automations that Amazon has had because they had to do this more generally. Now, the key piece that Amazon has that we don't is all these extra insights that they could potentially layer on. And so that's where we're looking, like, we can still fine tune all these and we can still outperform like the next best campaign out there. But what will be fun is as they continue to incorporate more of these in, I think that's where a key advantage could be that helps to automate it and gets to the point where some of those automations can outperform what we can do individually. And then that's awesome because now we can just focus on all those other key areas where we can still outperform everybody, but then focus more on the strategy and the execution and how everything ties in. So So overall, I think it's a good message for everybody, but just something to be aware of. And just making sure that you're setting yourselves up for success, not just now, but as this continues to progress as we go.
Mm-hmm. The winds of change
Yeah.
are blowing.
Yeah. And never a dull day in the digital advertising space.
Changes every day.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us once again on the Ad Project. Follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, our website. And another plug for Joe, he's speaking at Accelerate. So he'll be actually speaking on sponsored products, advanced tactics. Some of these data points we just talked about will be a part of that presentation. So you can even learn more at that presentation at Accelerate. So
yeah. We'll be going through like full execution on how to, based off a strategy, how do you structure these different campaigns? What's key benchmarks we take into account? Where should you put all these different toggles and switches as you're setting everything up? So, should be a lot of fun. And as always, it's so fun to meet people in person. So, yep, if you're in Seattle at Accelerate, make sure you swing by and say hi. I love it.
Well, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you.